The first element is we all get to grapple with being clear, like I just mentioned. What's the purpose for anything that we're doing? It starts with a larger question: what's my purpose for being here on the planet? Um, the deep inquiry of it. What are we doing here? And then there's looking at what is the purpose for our being together, or what's with people. But on an individual level and collective level, what is the purpose of anything that we do? And understanding what that purpose is before we do it will allow us to do whatever we do more effectively. So being clear, it's a living question that it never runs out of itself. We get to constantly be clear. What are we doing? What's our purpose, small and large? So that applies individually and it applies to a group. The second kind of organizing question in life or inquiry in life is, how do I stop my damn mind from constantly chattering, constantly going on and on and on and on? Because in Western culture, we essentially train the mind, and the mind is for solving problems, basically. And it's out of balance with training how do we relax and how do we stop thinking. So because schools and the culture supports constant thinking and constant forward motion, which is what constant thinking leads to, we have to find out, well, how do we keep thinking clearly while at the same time dropping down and relaxing? Because it's only inside not thinking that we actually connect to each other or to nature or to our own bodies. Thinking is important, but to actually watch our thinking and not be consumed by it is vital to our nervous systems. We call it meditation, but meditation normally has a lot to do with techniques and to stop something. This isn't stopping. It's actually, can we access different channels of our awareness? Like, can we open up and be more aware of life that doesn't involve thinking? The more I see beauty, the more I'm going to stop thinking because I'm in wonder of it. So that's being present. We all have that, and it's a living question. How do I stay more present and be able to think clearly, but then drop down into experiencing life rather than thinking about it? So then the third inquiry is, what do we do with our emotional lives? How do we work with emotions? And the biggest difficulty with this inquiry, again, as a living question, is it's not just to do with, well, when something difficult happens or there's a loss, we get to feel sad, or if there's frustration, we feel angry. It's not just the moment to moment feelings. Is that, how do we deal with the feelings that are kind of stuck in our own nervous systems, the trauma loops, the shock that almost everyone walks around with? And it's post-traumatic stress in some form, but it comes in the form of deep-seated terror that we've built a personality around to keep that terror at bay, or to keep it out of sight and out of our own sight, and collectively, not collectively, but when we're with others, to make sure you don't know that I'm afraid. So that not only do I not experience it, but then you won't experience me as being afraid, because then we have all that social, whatever that is, you shouldn't be afraid nonsense. So we got that. So being able to really experience and feel what I'm feeling, and then to create a social environment that supports feeling what's going on with everyone in the room, so that if there's a lot of tension in the room, how do we create a social environment that allows for people to speak to what they're tense about, which can be about others in the room, or it could be about something that happened to them when they were 2, or it can be what's going on today. So there's that exploration, and that's being real. Can we be spontaneous? And can we work with this stored up shock so that we regulate our nervous systems? The fourth inquiry is connected. It's this whole idea of connected. Can we come into greater kindness and greater generosity, greater ability to be empathetic to the other? Can we love, to open, to surrender, to come into connection, and to come out of the terrible myth of separation, that we're a separate being, disconnected from everything else, and that instead we actually get to live inside this field of connection that science is now telling us is real. So then that leaves us with this fifth challenge. And the fifth challenge, or inquiry, or element in creating social resonance and individual happiness, is we get to grapple with looking at what is it that we truly want next. If there's 5 roads, and which of those roads is the yellow brick road that lights up? How do we find which way to go, left or right, based on what? And it's really based on balancing all of our intelligences in order to choose what feels right, what feels good, what feels in alignment with life. And it turns out, for me anyway, with these 5 elements of being clear, present, real, connected, and this last one I call heart directed, that these 5 elements are synergistic. They work together. And part of the reason that they work together and the order of them is that in order for me to know what I want next, I have to have grappled with, or to bring into play, what's my purpose in general, and in specifically, can I not just kind of yap from my head, but can I be dropped down and speak from a place that's not just intellectual? If I'm feeling tension, or if emotion comes up, can I be real about it? And then, to what degree am I speaking from a sense of kindness? And not authority, but kindness. And then those 4 elements then give me much better access to knowing what I want. It's not what I want in the sense of I need it, I want. It's what is it that comes next in living in a life where, if I'm at work and I need to make decisions, what kind of decisions do I make? Or if I'm dealing with family issues, where do I base my decisions on anything I do living in the world?